suddenly his legs. Oh, I guess I died from the. Okay, well, I don't want to go through my whole 60 minutes without me. I'm a cheat. I'm gonna find some clues. But interesting enough. But I'm glad that Evan put this out here so people could see what it is. Okay, now that's the infection rate. Okay, so you want to definitely
the mark of the beast,
not be exposed.
Not leave that enough for you.
You know what I mean, to the infection and all that other stuff. So interesting stuff. All right. Well, with that said, I'm glad I gave it a shot. I'm gonna exit the game. I'm gonna try it again. I'm gonna try to do a little research. Yeah, I'm gonna cheat so I can get access to it. But yeah, it's definitely 90s style where you gotta pay attention to the clues and all that other stuff. It is cool. It's a cool experience. So I appreciate them putting it on there. I mean, mind you, this is just a demo. It's a playable teaser. It's not fully optimized and all that other stuff, but you definitely give it a shot. Try it out. All right, with that said, we appreciate everybody. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful gaming day. Peace. Stadia is keeping the updates rocking and rolling on the platform in the second half of 2022. Now they are releasing some groundbreaking innovation to cloud gamers' delight. See as Google Stadia gets groundbreaking feature. It's STO Daily, baby. Let's get into this one. Yo, 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 in a bottle of rum. What's up, people? It's your boy, MM2K of PNTS Network and StadiaDosage, bringing you another SLS featuring MM2K. This is where it's an open mic session for you all for us to talk about the latest and greatest in Stadia news. I'm excited to be here today, man. We had a great sound off yesterday. It was so great that the first hour and 30 minutes I was off script. I didn't even touch the script the first hour and a half, man. That's how excited I was. I think people still don't understand, and some of my mainstream gaming friends, they don't understand how the blood pumps via the heart of a tech enthusiast, right? Those of us that are tech enthusiasts that like seeing innovation being done, and we may enjoy little tits and tats here about, oh, does Xbox have more polygons than PlayStation this time? You know what I'm saying? Like, but we're not satisfied by the status quo. Like, I got to see major enhancements. And again, I know a lot of you guys hate on me for picking on Xbox. I'm going to pick on PlayStation too in this sentiment. But I got tired, really, of when I saw that the best thing that they could do to drum me up is offer me prettier polygons, compute units, and frames, which I do think are important. But if that's the best you could do, PC's been doing that for years. There's nothing else you can do. I can get me a PC. And then you don't even follow through on those, the prettier polygons and compute units and frames and stuff the way that you claim you did. You're still upscaling and dynamic resolution, which is fine, but you're not answering the call the way that you said you were. I lose attachment to that type of stuff. And to see not just Stadia, but cloud gaming in general do so much to lay this foundation. It's like, here's how I compare cloud gaming to mainstream gaming. You can have the biggest and baddest condo. I used to live in a condo. My sister, she had this condo close to town. And I don't know how it is in other cities, but when you live close to downtown, that's where you go to work. A lot of times, it's the major hub of at least my city. So having a condo 5 minutes away from my place of employment, like I literally it was a 5-minute walk for me to go to my place of employment, and it was in downtown. You're paying a considerable amount of money. Had a nice pool, you know what I'm saying? Nice gym, Seuss, like all these cool amenities, right? Had some cool stuff going on. But it's been that same cool stuff for years, right? So the new car smell of it all is gone. And now it's about me wanting more. Like, now I want a yard. Now I want to be able to park my car somewhere and not have to pay for parking. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd have to pay to be in a garage. I want to be able to have, cookouts and, oh shoot, what the hell happened? Have cookouts and things like that, right? Go and do other things. Have a nice office, and just do things that you just can't do in a condo. But it's going to take time for me to build this house. It's going to take time for me to build this place. Because if I want it built right, if I don't want it to blow away during the winter or during a serious storm, if I don't want the roof to collapse, this thing has to be built right. But when it's built right, when it's there, when it's done, the condo is not going to be able to touch it. Now, granted, this is the future for me. This is where I'm going to invest my time and everything ongoing. And I love having my house. I can already enjoy my yard. I can already enjoy the parking. And gradually, as things are being built on the house, it's feeling more and more at home. It's not complete yet. So yeah, granted, there's times to where I may want that masseuse. Because, this is let's just say it's a new plot of land. They're just developing around the plot of land as well. The masseuse my way ain't up yet. So I, still got my membership at my condo. You know what I mean? I still kept it. There's still some of the amenities that I kept. But long term, when the house gets built and it gets fleshed out, I know this is where I want to be. And it's gradually proving that day by day. And I'm just excited. Again, everything's not there yet. It's not complete. There are things that the condo provides that I, can't get there from time to time. But for the most part, I get what I want. And when I can get what I want, I still have access to some of those condo amenities until everything gets fleshed out over here. But I'm on the right side of history. I know where the future is headed. So that's where I'm making my investment at. And this is what I'm getting adjusted to. You know what I'm saying? Because this is what makes me feel at home the most. And that's how tech enthusiasts approach new tech. Even when it's on the ground surface level and it hasn't been built up yet, we still appreciate the things that it can do and the amenities that it's given right now, while still understanding that while it's in this building phase, there are some things that the current mainstream popular thing can do, better to a degree. But realizing that will change, that dynamic will change. And there's always going to be, I hate to call it, there's always going to be the dinosaurs that are going to fight the meteorites falling from the sky. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm excited. Seeing stuff happening with cloud gaming in general, and in particular with Stadia. I'm ecstatic, and I knew I was doing direct streams over the weekend. And when I was doing the direct streams, hold on, let's get some music in here. When I was doing the direct streams over the weekend, yeah, I feel a little bubbly now. With the music playing. When I was doing the direct streams over the weekend, I felt like, okay, this is where something's going on, because it's a little wonky here, a little wonky there, you know what I'm saying? I knew they were working on something. And if those of you that follow my content, you heard me say they're working on something. Something's got to be going on. And lo and behold, we find out that they were, I guess, adjusting for this party stream feature, which is so dope. We're going to talk about that shortly. Here, let's do this. Let everybody know that we're live. Okay. Definitely let everybody know that we're live. Did I post this everywhere? I believe I did. Post this everywhere, and let's do just this thing right here. Why is everything so slow? A storm is coming. I'm noticing. I told you guys about the weird and wonky stuff about my internet, and someone keeps stripping. Someone's still doing it, like stripping my box off. I don't know if they think they're getting copper or something. I don't know what's going on. Well, anyway, something's up with my internet now. I'm trying to tweet this out. It won't let me do it. So if you can tweet this out, let everybody know that we're live, man. The hell? All right. We'll leave that like that. And here's what we're going to do. I even need that up. I don't even know why that's up. All right, so here's what we're going to do. I want to give a shout out to everybody that is here, that has made it, that's going to be joining us for this open mic session. Shout out to all of you guys and gals. Let's go to our social blade. Okay, finally. What the hell is Twitter down? Maybe Twitter's down. Something going on with Twitter, y'all? Yeah, looks like something's going on with Twitter. Yeah, boy. Twitter's down. That explains it. Let me see here. Well, Twitter's down on the web. Ain't that a bibbly boop? Let's go here. Let me do this real quick, and then we're gonna get right into the heart of things. Okay, maybe I lied to you. Content. Oh man. Maybe is it just my internet? It could be my internet. Live. Everything is just like moving seriously slow. Stuff isn't showing. All right, let me go to YouTube on my phone. I'm on my phone now. Stuff is extremely slow. Let me go to your channel. All right, there we go right there. Let's share this out. And let's go to Twitter. Okay, maybe it's just my web browser. We are live for the communities. Open, oh, come on. Open mic forum. Join this, or don't miss this week's pop discussion items. All right. And let's do something like this. Do a little something like this. Do it up like this. Do it up like that. There we go. All right. So we let everybody know that we're live. Let me go here to Twitter one more time. Do one more thing. Oh yeah, something's up with Twitter because that won't even post. Holy cow. Okay. All right. So let me shout out everybody in the chat. Because I love y'all. And I always do this. Why do I always do this? Like for the open mic, I know I'm blind as I can't see. And I always forget to put everything on this damn side so I can see what the hell's. Oh shit. Shoot. Excuse me, I'm sorry. It's just one of them days. All right, come on. God, what is going on here? Why is, oh my God, what is happening here? Okay. Something weird is happening. It might just, okay, my computer could be the wonky one. Okay. That doesn't make any sense. Why that was doing that. Now I gotta put this back up somehow. Oh my God. Oh my God. Live streaming. Oh. That's not, okay, that. And then we gotta put the social blade up. There we go. All right. There we go. Sorry about that. Lord Jesus. All right, now let's shout out to everybody. We got Mugen in here. It says good vibes. We got Jamie Reed in the house. Good to see you, my good friend. Also, yeah, don't forget, y'all. Hold on, I meant to pin this. Don't forget that leaving a super chat or a thank you. Does it say that all months of July in August enters you into our premier bundle raffle? So what that means is during the months of July and August, if you left us a super chat or you left us a thank you, You know what I mean? That's where you can hit the VOD up later and leave a donation. We're doing an appreciation for everybody that does that. We're putting you in a raffle and we're picking a winner. We're sending you a premiere bundle. Now, the homie Squid had his own separate version of that. And that just ran all the way up until the 15th of August. So his ended sooner than this one. But we had a winner, and his included his Patreon and everything. And his winner was Geek to Sneak, man. Geek to Sneak was all over everywhere, showing love, showing support, and he won. So again, this raffle works under the same pretense. You donate, but it's for all the other content. It's for these shows and for like CGR. So anything that's live or that you super chatted to that's not what's it called? We still ask you for your, for you to support Squid, definitely. But he had his raffle. We're gonna do our raffle. That's gonna end at the end of the month. So don't forget, leave a super chat, leave a thank you. You'll get entered into that raffle. All right. So I just wanted to make sure that was out there. Cookouts are the best. I think every cookout in Atlanta has lemon pepper wings and Hennessy. That might be the case, man. My sister-in-law's in Atlanta. I have yet to go to Atlanta. I have yet to come down there. My sister-in-law's down there. We're going to be visiting her soon. What's up, everyone? Stephon Sabal in the house. Good to see you. Yo, Christopher Torres. Hey, Chris, what's going on, bro? That new event, global event, man. The Golden Bullet. I don't know how Division 2 does it. They always outdo themselves, man. They always do it. Shout out to them. Let's see. Did my tweet go out? Let's see here. Yeah, they keep outdoing themselves in this new Golden Bullet event, man. I mean, it's not making it easy for you. It's not making it easy for you to get new content. I mean, to get points, but it sure as hell is fun trying. There's a lot of things you got to now. Once you progress through, oh my God, yeah, something's going on with Twitter. Once you progress through and you get the points and you do enough things to get points, I think they're going to come in concession. But I love this new Hollywood global event, and I don't know how Division keeps doing it. I don't play Destiny, so this isn't. I'm not trying to. I don't want to armchair quarterback this, but I talk to people like Daryl Smock or whatever, and I don't know why it's so hard. Or maybe it's just that Massive is just that damn good. Where it's your baby, it's your product, and these are your client. I mean, these are your consumers. Why don't you know how to put the content out there? I don't know, man. I think here's what it is, man. Honestly, it's the grindy nature of Destiny that I think is at the heart of its complexities. Again, and hear me out, I'm not trying to excuse any of the bad behavior. We talked about this on Sound Off, where we got to the origins of these bad players that feel entitled and feel like that if you're not giving them stuff, giving them exactly what they want 24/7, that they get to call your mom out, put sugar in the tank of your car, burn your shoes, whatever. And we called them out for it. We talked about where we thought this originated from. We thought it originated from Mass Effect. When I saw people going ape-ish over an ending, when we know that the whole storyline isn't done yet, people's inability to handle that disappointment, or just having patience to have to wait and find that part out because they want to keep you enthralled with the entire series. That's why it was called Mass Effect and not Shepard. You know what I mean? People started giving out lawsuits. Like, imagine that. Like, we want to consider video games art, which we need to stop uttering that. Developers will tell you, you know, they feel like it's art, but the way that it's the way that you come across as far as linking the consumer and the art creator, it's more keeping the lights on than anything now. In a lot of ways, that interaction has devolved there. And I think that's where it started. I mean, just imagine you don't like my art, so you sue me over it. It's crazy. I don't, you know, this is not a class where I'm teaching you something. This is art. This is where I have my own predisposed notion on, you know, how the canvas is, how it's going to look. You know what I mean? And you don't like it, so you sue me over the perception that I have for my art. Interesting time. So I'm not making an excuse for it, but I think Bungie's Destiny's grindy nature, where you're just grinding. I mean, you're just doing literally the same ish over and over. It's just a little bit more difficult. Like, there seems to be a lot less organic things happening, and you're just grinding and grinding and grinding. You're grinding, you know, you might be grinding 2 weeks just to get a gun. You know what I mean? You're grinding 2 weeks, like literally you're grinding all week, if not more, 2 weeks for Jor to show up. Well, this is at least how Destiny 1 worked. You're grinding a week or two for Jor to show up on the weekend with some exotic items, and you're trying to get enough, I guess it was golden coins back then. I don't know what the equivalent is now, but you're grinding for a week, maybe 2 weeks if you have a life, and if you don't want CYF taking your kids away, you're grinding 2 weeks to get a gun. And sometimes you're grinding 2 weeks to get a gun, one gun, and that gun may not be there. Right? Like when they do things to a singular item in Destiny, because it's not as items and activities and interactions aren't as robust, you feel it more. Like if they were to nerf something in Division 2, it's like, oh, ish, they nerf so-and-so, but there's so much stuff to get in Division 2. So much. Like, to where you actually want to play around. Like, that's what I was doing last night. I wish I would have recorded it. Well, I should have did a party stream, because my party stream was active last night. I sent a tweet out about it. I was a guy I just followed on Twitter, real up there in Division 2. I'm trying to get up there with those guys. It's going to take me a while. But he had some builds that he was playing around with, and I kind of can't max out to the level that he was at with each piece. But I was seeing where, you know, it could be potentially deadly for me to use in the future. So I'm playing around with these different, but there's just so many opportunities. And here's the thing. It's not like, unless you are a super ultra player that has everything, it's not like you're too OP to where you can't get any enjoyment. Like, there's so many different things going on, so many challenges there are. Yes, the better gear helps you cut down on time, but there's always going to be a challenge. And now that they have this new, what is it, legendary mode? Like, they know, like, the name of the game is abundance. And it sounds like to me that the people at Massive understand the abundance game when it comes to Destiny. So, I mean, the people at Massive understand the abundance game when it comes to Division. So they just keep providing more on the fly. Like, the way I love how they do the strongholds. Like, yes, there's your static map, you know what I mean? But it's the interaction within those maps are changing all the time when the Black Tusk takes over, and it's an invaded area, and the strongholds, and then you got the time missions, and then now you got these global events that happen that just blow your mind because they just add another level of uniqueness. Like, yeah, Bungie, and I think what happens is people dedicate so much. I mean, if you're going to be a top Destiny player, I mean, Destiny requires, and this is the way they set it up, Destiny requires endless effort. Like, I can play Division 2 if I get a good hour or two in, maybe 3 to 5 times a week. I'm Gucci. I'm good. I may not be up there with the elite, but I'm making progress. I'm making good progress because that's more than enough time for me to do certain missions, do a raid, get me a crap load of exotic caches, and seriously upgrade my character or get a whole bunch of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Destiny, and they said this when they launched, one, they want your life. You know what I'm saying? They want your life. So in order, they haven't answered that calling with abundance. Like every week, Division 2 has something new happening, and it seems like they have like something new happening like 2 weeks in a row. Then there'll be 1 week where there's really not an event happening, but the way the game is built, there's so many things that compound each other on top of it that are organic, that revolve, that change. It feels like a new game all the time, a new experience all the time. When I did this mission last week, it didn't feel like this. And then you're playing around with gear and stuff like that. And then right when you think that you got something going on, then here comes another event. It's crazy. And I think that's Bungie's problem. Bungie created a great play loop, some great gunplay, but in order to keep up, not to be an elite player, but to keep up, you have to dedicate so much of your life to the game. And that, I think, is irking people. Why, more so than not, they're getting more agitated responses. Now, hear me here. I'm not saying that, but what that means in these most egregious cases is that you have a-holes who are just being bigger a-holes when it comes to the most extreme stuff. But I do believe there are cases to where there are people who, again, are so attached to this game and put so much into it just to keep up, that when you make one tweak that thwarts their whole setup, or when you're not doing something to keep all that time that they put into it worthwhile, they get a little edgy, more typical than not. And again, I'm not blaming Bungie for taking the stance they took, because by all intents and purposes, it got too crazy. But Bungie had, by the time they get to Destiny 3, they really got to look at what Division 2 is doing. I get that you want people to play your game constantly. You want them in this game forever, like how people would be with Fortnite. But the reason why you do that is because maybe you give them so many options and so many things to utilize those options against, that they want to try out different things instead of, in reverse, giving them so little and having them grind constantly for that little. That's what I think Destiny's problem is. And if they can fix that, then, you know, you're not going to eliminate all the a-holes, but I think overall the player base will seem less edgy. That's just my take on it. You know, and again, that's me going off the cuff as I normally do. I'm not a Destiny player now, but that all started for me just simply saying to Chris, hey, yo, Chris, get your ass in some Division 2 so we can do some of this, so we can get some points, man, for this this Golden Bullet event, man. It's fantastic. Uh-oh. Aminor's in here. He says, I'm a dinosaur. I'll be playing my PS6 and PS7 for the next 12 years. Hey, Aminor, I'm going to tell you this, bro. And you may not want to hear this. There's going to be a PS6. Is there going to be a PS7? I don't think so. I don't think so. Here's why I don't think so. Aminor, now you should know your stuff. You don't know this, shame on you. We're revoking your PlayStation license, your PlayStation accreditation. We're taking your badge back, your Boy Scout, your PlayStation Boy Scout badge back. We're gonna have to find someone more worthy. Even though PlayStation is ahead, don't let all the headlines fool you. They want to make you believe that PlayStation is in trouble. They simply are not. The fact of the matter is that even if this Activision deal goes through, which it looks like it's going to happen, and looking at some things, whenever big mergers like this happen, the only time that the EU and the FCC or whatever, the FTC rather, the only time that the EU regulators and the FTC work together is on mergers, because they don't want to, they understand this is a global market and they don't want to stifle it. I'm telling you from experience, the EU is extremely tough. Some of the largest fines and most of the fines of the last several years, for my account, have been EU related. But when it comes to this, they often let the US take the lead, the FTC take the lead. And as the FTC is taking the lead and looking over documentation when it comes to the merger, they comply, and these companies comply and allow the FTC to trade notes with the EU regulators. And they allow the EU regulators to bounce questions through the FTC. And usually the FTC and the EU regulators, they have they try to stay on the same accord about this. So pretty much, if the FTC approves the merger, it's, I believe, in the 90th percentile that I looked at, that it's going through. And it looks right now that the FTC regulators are now in a very good space with this Activision merger. So I said all that to say this. Say, for instance, this merger goes through. I think I saw numbers to where, and I could be wrong, but I saw numbers to where Xbox would still be in third place. I thought I saw them from Z Huge. I thought Tencent would still be 1. PlayStation would still be 2 narrowly. And right at their heels now, because right now I think it's like an 8 to 10 million or $10 billion difference between Xbox and PlayStation. I think Xbox is at, well, last time I checked, I think PlayStation was at 24, Xbox was at 16 billion, and Activision would probably put them only $1 billion under, or even less. So they would still be third. And I think Xbox said that, when it came down to dealing with questions about a monopoly. Again, even if that deal goes through, Xbox is still in third place as far as the money being made. They're still behind Tencent. They're still behind Sony. So don't believe that PlayStation is in trouble. Stop that. That's the media trying to project what they want to happen into reality. They've done the same thing with Stadia. If you're a follower of this platform or the follower of cloud gaming, you've seen the media do it to Stadia, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. And they've been seriously wrong throughout this process. All right. Instead of the media reporting facts, they do nothing but project. They do nothing but gossip, spread gossip, and project what they want to happen personally into reality. So they think. PlayStation is not in trouble. PlayStation has been stifled, though. I truly believe that PlayStation, they're how ahead they would be of Xbox would have been much grander, and really, I think death blow is too strong of a word, but really a hindrance to Xbox trying to gain accolades amongst gamers. There's gamers and then there's the journalists, and the gamers don't all, it's like when you go to Rotten Tomatoes, the journalist will give something a 34 and the actual movie consumer will give it an 80. So I think in this current day and age, we're seeing such a split from the journalist and the average gamer. That being said, their dominance has been stifled because of supply shortages and things, and one of which is something that normally isn't a problem for PlayStation, but 2 out of the last 3 generations has become a problem. And that's getting consoles out. What am I talking about? Sony had a problem with the PlayStation 3 because of the cell processor and how complicated it was to even get developers acclimated to that. So that's why it took so long for the PlayStation to really start, catching fire. It didn't start catching fire until the end of the generation that it launched was upon us. But then on top of that, if you listen to Phil Harrison of all people, which is the irony of this, when people talk about like he doesn't have any experience when he was one of the original 40 people at PlayStation when it started, but that's another podcast. Phil Harrison told everybody that they had problems getting like a specific laser, I believe it was, for the Blu-ray reader. Like that component, which they said, I think he said was a $5 component. Like the certain materials that were needed to make that $5 component were in shortage. So that was another problem. Well, you fast forward, they didn't have any problem with the PlayStation 4. But you fast forward now to the PlayStation 5. The PlayStation 5, I'm being told by very credible sources, the PlayStation 5 was supposed to be launched in 2019. That's why it was the original 9 point whatever teraflops. They wanted to get the PlayStation out there first in similar fashion that the 360 got out there first. And that's how they were able to dominate that generation for most of it. They wanted to continue that momentum, so they wanted to get out ahead of Xbox and get games and stuff like that and have them look prettier and have them look better, but under 9.3 teraflops. And they were willing to have Xbox come out a year later with their thing, even if it was going to have more teraflops, but the PlayStation was going to be bigger and better because it came out first and it got a head start. And to supplement whatever power narrative that Xbox had, if they were getting an advantage, they just put out a PlayStation 4 Pro. That was PlayStation's plan. The problem was that the failure rate of the chips was so grand early on that they couldn't launch it in 2019. So now they're forced to launch. It's one thing if you're launching a 9.7 or 9.3, whatever the hell it was. If you're launching a 9.3 or 9.7 teraflop machine a year before a 12 teraflop machine came out, that's one thing. But for you to launch it in the same year, ooh, that wasn't going to look good. And then you're charging the same price just about. Ooh, yeah, that ain't looking good. So that's where Cerny got in there and tried to, juice it up to 10.2, whatever, and all that other stuff. When it got into whatever mode, I forget all that hoopla. But again, because it's PlayStation, at launch, it really didn't make a difference because Xbox really didn't have any games to benefit from. And what made it even worse is that their SDK or their GDK wasn't ready for launch in 2020. So the reason why I said all that, Aminar, is to say this. The reason why I said all that is because two out of the past 3 generations, the console has stifled their dominance. And PlayStation was scared ishless with the PlayStation 3 era. Those were very dark times. If they can still put out their awe-inspiring games and be platform agnostic, they would do it today. They just know that the fan base would cause too much heartache for them. Even though they normally do well as far as manufacturing consoles and doing all that, it's starting to get a little bit more complex, and they'd rather do without it. And they'd rather focus on launching on PC and maybe even doing the cloud too. And that's why they're steadily, incrementally building there. But believe you me, I have no doubts that there's going to be a PlayStation 6. But a PlayStation 7, because the way their luck has been working, you got to understand the nature of how these consoles are being built too. Like right now, the PlayStation 6 it's being mapped out. Like they're prototyping and mapping out things that they want for the PlayStation 6 now. Meanwhile, the PlayStation 5 Pro or whatever it is getting ready to hit production lines soon. In a year, when I say soon, maybe in a year or so, whatever, right? Or whenever, but it's that's in flight, the PlayStation 5 Pro, but the PlayStation 6 is already being mapped out. It's in pre-production, right? So they're looking at technology, where they expect technology to be in XYZ place. They're mapping out certain possibilities and scenarios, and they're figuring out what they want to have in their PlayStation 6. In the PlayStation 7, I think that all indication is showing that Sony doesn't want really or hoping that there isn't going to be a PlayStation 7. I don't think that they've mapped that out yet. Depends on where the internet is, though. So we'll see. And if Wi-Fi 6 becomes the thing that we think it's going to become. And if and you know, you got these new bills, like where internet is the crappiest in the evolved, what they call the evolved countries like the US. It's like in our breadbasket. Well, there's new legislation that's going to supposedly tackle that. And so by the time there is supposed to be a PlayStation 7, which that's probably what, anywhere between another 10 to 15 years, they're going to be eyeballing that and seeing if the internet is going to be better to where they don't have to be. So I'm not sold on a PlayStation 7 yet, but I'm there's nothing that I have no doubts that there'll be a PlayStation 6. Yeah, I think Twitter is down or having issues. I totally agree. XRE says I'm on Twitter. Something was going on. Twitter not loading for me. All right, yeah. Twitter's down. Good riddance. Only extremists fighting each other. You're not an extremist, Aminar? That's interesting. Yeah, man. Mine's is not activated and not activating. Not sure why I have 74 Pearl cash to open. Shake my head. Oh, golly. Jesus Christ. Yo, Geek to Sneak in the house. Yeah, man. I found a way to start the golden buff, the bullet today. What's going on, Mostly Martinez? Good to see you, my friend. It's M2K. Do you think Division 3 will ever happen, or Heartlands is Division 3 on the low? See, y'all be trying to get me in trouble. I got to say this in a way that won't get me in trouble. No, Division, I think what Ubisoft is trying to do is they're looking at the most popular games that are out there, the most popular experiences, the biggest cold hits, or, you know, the game-changing experiences, and they're saying, how can we make a version of that game using our Tom Clancy characters? So, X-Defiant, I think, is their answer to Call of Duty in some ways. Heartlands is their answer to what is the name of that damn game? Jesus Christ. Battle of Tarkov. That's what Heartlands is. Excuse me. So yeah, and I wholeheartedly believe, I'll just leave it like this, I wholeheartedly believe that you guys are going to love both of those games. Well, I can talk about X-Defiant. Yeah, X-Defiant is awesome. It's awesome. It's you know, I mean, I measure it by like this. Like, I don't like multiplayer games because I suck at them. And granted, the only two multiplayer games that I've ever like really enjoyed playing a lot of, like how y'all like to play Call of Duty and all that stuff in Battlefield, the only two have been Ubisoft games. Well, I love Ubisoft. Ubisoft talks to me as a player. The first one was Rainbow Six Vegas, that multiplayer. That multiplayer was dope because it was tactical, the sense of urgency. You just weren't in a 5-foot room trying to strategically bounce a grenade off a crate and get the secret bounce that you found in Game Informer that'll make the grenade walk and talk and jump on someone's neck. No, you strategically had a team that was in a building and y'all had to search each other out. That's what I liked about the Rainbow Six, the first one, Rainbow Six Vegas 1's multiplayer. I love that multiplayer. Now, when it came to 2's multiplayer, they tried to mimic more of Call of Duty where the spaces were a little bit more closed in or whatever. I didn't like that. But me and my brother, we played that Ghost Recon, that Rainbow Six Vegas multiplayer like every day faithfully. You know what I'm saying? Oh my God. Me and him was killer. We were taking, man. What else? And then the second one is X Defiant. X Defiant is the other one. You know, I love it. I loved it. It's great. It's fun to get into. And yeah, man, I had a lot of fun playing it when I had access to it. So I think the community is gonna love that game. You know what it is that we may not have Call of Duty, but I think there's gonna be games that are gonna come along that are gonna scratch that itch. We may not have Fortnite, we may not have Rocket League, but again, I think there are games that are gonna come along that are going to scratch our itch, definitely. So I think Heartlands is just their answer to Battle of Tarkov. You when you get a hold of it, you understand. That's all I can say right now. All I can say right now. When you get a hold of it, I think you'll understand. He says, do I hear Destiny slander? Yeah, man. Look, you're talking to a recovering Destiny 1 addict. I tell this story all the time, Martinez. If it wasn't for my daughter, who was like 16 at the time, I would have lost my kids. Literally, like, it was me, my brother, who didn't have any kids at the time, so he was scot-free. Me, my brother, and we had this developer friend of ours. Believe he worked at Bethesda because he hooked me up with some stuff back in the day. I'm very thankful for him. But we ended up falling out. It was all my fault because I betrayed the crew. Originally, and really, that's where the old Dirty Blasters came from. The old Dirty Blasters were originally my brother, myself, and this developer friend of ours. And we played Destiny faithfully every day. Like, as soon as I got home, I didn't even check the kids. I was horrible. I didn't even check their homework. My daughter was cooking dinner. She took care. I mean, she's always been like this. She's always been like a wannabe adult since she came out of the womb. And sometimes I gotta like tell her to chill out. Like, don't talk to your dad like that. She always came out of the womb like an adult. You know what I mean? So she actually enjoyed it, but I took advantage of her ass. I would come home and literally, I get home at 6, play Destiny from when I came home to midnight, 1 o'clock. Yep. And then go to bed, rinse and repeat every day, except on weekends. Because my brother, his girlfriend didn't care. Well, at the time, the only saving grace that I had was that my brother's girlfriend lived across town. So she couldn't see him Monday through Friday. She could only see him on the weekends. My brother's girlfriend wasn't playing. So there was no Destiny on the weekends. And me and our developer friend, we didn't like playing with randoms. We knew nobody else that played Destiny as much as we did or that could tolerate us. My cousin tried to play with us and we deterred him. Because we were brutal. We were them remember back in the 360 days, and I know a lot of people, I know things have changed and people are like, oh yeah, those were the bro asshole days. Well, look, maybe I'm just an a-hole. The dude bro a-hole days. But I mean, I'm a product of the 80s, as the late great Prodigy said, man. I'm a product of the 80s. So a lot of that tough nose, snotty mouth, rugged stuff was just a Tuesday. You know what I mean? And what we, you know, a lot of the sensitivities that you see now, we didn't see back then. It was just, you take it and you dish it. You know what I mean? There wasn't a psychoanalysis on every type of trauma. You know, everything wasn't a trauma. Oh my God, the chain popped off my bike. You're suffering from chainotitis, and that's a trauma. Everything wasn't a trauma back then, right? So, but some people took it to the extreme, and I never was this type of game. I'm gonna be honest with you. I never, except for Destiny 2, or except for Destiny, I never was that type of gamer. I always stayed clear of multiplayer games because of that. Because I did feel a certain type of way about a MFer that I didn't know saying all types of crazy ish to me. You know what I'm saying? I can't find this cat. You know what I mean? So I was like, you know what? Before I don't look like a fool and I'm cursing somebody out because they done said the wrong thing to me, and this little 12-year-old tween is sitting there laughing about it, I'm just going to stay offline because I know how I am. You know what I mean? I never was one of those toxic people until we started playing Destiny. And now I understand the psyche of those toxic people. Here's what happens. You get so good, and when you invest that much time in a game and you get so good, success is the only thing that pumps through your veins. The only fun that you have is by conquering. And anything that comes in the way of you conquering derails you and throws you into a fit. That's how that toxic gamer mind state. These are people that only have fun by conquering. And again, that's where I go back to the whole Destiny thing. Because you invest so much time, like we're grinding to go get coins to see what Zer got, and Zer might not have what we want, or we're one mission away. We're playing for 6 hours every freaking day, Monday through Friday. Me and this other guy, we're squeezing time in on Saturdays. Sundays, nobody played, you know what I'm saying? But we're squeezing time in, Saturday. So we're pretty much playing 6 days a week. I want to say 6 hours a day, except for Saturdays. Maybe me and this guy, we would get up early when we could, find a random, play for 3 hours, have the random, you know what I'm saying, mad, and going away. We would be doing strikes and stuff like that. You put all that time in every day, and you're still one mission short of getting a golden key or a golden coin. So that just raises your agitation levels even further. That's what I was saying. I think Destiny, when it comes to 3, they need to change that formula. But I was addicted, man. I was bad on Destiny. Oh my God. Oh my God. And it's probably a good thing that I never got into 2. It's a good thing I didn't get into 2, but yeah, you're hearing this slander from a former Destiny fanatic, an addict. I find Destiny 2 to be rather boring, but I understand people love it. Seahawk says morning folks, afternoon to some. All right. Jay Smith in the house. Casey, what's going on, brother? Casey, later on tonight, I hope I am, if I can keep my ass up, I'm going to be playing some that golden bullet. I got some in last night. He says, facts, PlayStation 6 already being mapped out. He thought I said condom. We got Cowboy in the house. Cowboy says, okay, the Cowboy's in the building. Anytime to make lose some more here. No, you can't get me today, brother. I'm too excited. He said, also, I was a big fan of Rainbow Six Vegas. See, you're a man of taste. 1 and 2 on the Xbox 360. That mode was called Terrorist Hunt. Yeah, Terrorist Hunt was cool. I like Terrorist Hunt, but no, Terrorist Hunt was dope. Don't get me wrong, Terrorist Hunt was dope. I like Terrorist Hunt. But that's not the mode I'm talking about. Because Terrorist Hunt, basically what it was, is it took you through campaign maps. And it kind of redid the campaign maps by putting bots in there. No, I'm talking about actual PvP. Terrorist Hunt was dope because it kind of flipped the campaign maps on its head and had you, playing them over again, but with different things happening. So I did like Terrorist Hunt. No, I'm talking about the actual PvP. Is what I played. We got Dre in the house. Yeah, good to see you, Dre. Thank you for coming through. He said, my wife hated when I was a Destiny player. She said they named a woman's name because it's like you're cheating on your wife with it. No, on a serious note, when I reflect back on it, I was bad. I think that's part of the reason why actually my daughter, what she tends to do is she don't check up on me. She check up on the kids. Like she check up on her younger siblings, which is my two sons, to make sure that they all right. What's dad doing? Where's dad taking? I'm like, man, if you don't get that question to me. I think it's all stems from then. Being 16 and watching your dad come home. And for full transparency, me and my wife weren't together at that time. I had my own place. Our two older kids, they were already grown and out on their own. So the younger kids were with me. You know what I'm saying? And the reason why they were with me is because before I stopped playing around and me and my wife got together, she just worked all the time. She was working all the time to get a place. She's been wanting to get a house or whatever. She was working all the time for the kids to come and stay with her. And I said, I'll take them. And then at the time, my mother, I have family that they have property. So they rented out property to me, and I was right around the corner from them. You know what I'm saying? So now you're getting a peer into the background of MM2K. So they can visit my mom, my aunts up the street. You know what I'm saying? And then as a matter of fact, where I used to stay in one of my mom's properties, my oldest son stays there now. And my daughter is right around the corner. So that whole swath of the family is all in they're like 2 blocks from each other, right? So that's what was going on back then. And my youngest daughter really was like, Dad, you need to get it together. That's what she's like, Dad, you really need to get it together. She used to tell me that all the time. She's like, Dad, she said, I see you're a constant. She said, you go to work every day. You know what I'm saying? You're providing and everything. You take us to our games. I mean, you won't, but when it comes to spending time with us and all other stuff, this video game stuff is starting to get out of hand. You know what I'm saying? She would tell me that, and I'm like, boop, 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 bop, bop, bop. What you say? What the hell you say? Go shut your ass up. Go cook something. It was horrible. I was horrible. I was a horrible dad. I was a horrible dad back then. So. Yeah, so you're talking to a Destiny addict. I think what was going on then for me was having 3 kids on my own was daunting. Was a daunting task. My wife said, or you know, my wife had to, before we, you know, settle, said, look, I've been doing all the work. You got off scot-free, bucko. Here you go. Here you go. I'm like, damn. It's like I'm building so we can have something. Here you go. I'm like, okay. And it was a daunting task. And so I dedicated a lot of time to them. If I was doing good at first, I was a hell of a father at first. They loved, Dad, you're the best. I used to get that all the time. It was good. And then that damn Destiny came out. when Destiny came out, it ruined everything. Now, as far as games and stuff and taking them to practice and taking my daughter and my sons to events to the, you know, my oldest son, my youngest son was too young to play anything at the time. But my oldest son, he was playing basketball. So I took him to his games and stuff, like, you know, I did all that. But it was that spare time, it was that free time that I wasn't doing with. And I blame Destiny. I blame Bungie. It's all their fault. Forget that I'm a grown adult and should know better. It's all their fault. I missed the Siege part, but I will look back at it later. Yeah, Rainbow Six Siege. Oh, not Siege, Vegas. It was Rainbow Six Vegas. Their multiplayer, and then now X Defiance multiplayer are the only two multiplayers, PvP multiplayers, that really enthralled me. Love Rainbow Six Vegas. Yeah, Rainbow Six Vegas is the GOAT. It's the GOAT for first-person shooters. It's really, when you talk about military first-person shooters, it's my favorite of all time. All right, so let's, you know, in typical fashion, we're an hour and 13 minutes into the show. Didn't even get into the topics. Let's get into the topics. Let me show you something. All right, that's not what I want to show you. This is what I want to, that's not what I want to show you either. I don't get this damn, like, how the F does this even happen, bro? Let's see this. Like, this shouldn't even be the case. Like, that shouldn't even be up there. There we go. Don't make any damn sense. I already had that fixed. Okay. So party streaming comes to Stadia. This is courtesy of XDA developers that originally reported on this, and we're also following up on StadiaDosage. What do y'all I mean, it says, you know, let's start with the big news. Stadia is rolling out party streaming, is exactly what it says on the 10, the ability to share the game that you're playing within a party. Each party member, you can select their name and instantly see your gameplay. This is a lot less setup than streaming to YouTube and built right into Stadia. We hope it also reduces the couple second viewer latency that YouTube adds, which would make it an ideal for games like Jackbox. I'm going to tell you this much. During the summer, like normally, I think a lot of people are excited about this. Let me back up a little bit. A lot of people are excited about this. During the summer, you know, when I log on now, I may see 30 people max logged on, right? It's the summer, people on vacations. Even though you could play Stadia, I imagine a lot of people are like, you know what, I'm just gonna enjoy time with my family. You know, we got stuff with our itinerary. We're not playing any games. You know what I mean? And it's gonna be like that until, I guess, school starts up again. People come back from their vacations, right? The end of August. But when I saw this feature come out, it bumped right back up to what I normally see, which is around 50 people on at a time. You know, per my friends list. That's what I've been seeing, and I've been seeing that bump since. That's the bump. That's the amount of people that I've seen since the bump. I've noticed from the LG TVs getting Stadia on them. and the end of the year celebration. That was a big bump for Stadia. So with that being said, a lot of people were excited about this. And so I want to ask this poll question. Are you excited about Stadia's party stream feature to give it a try? Let's put that poll out there. I mean, so the way it works is that up to 10 people can get into a party, right? And they can, and it can be split any way. You can have 5 people playing a game. This is the revolutionary part about it. The 10 people in the party can be split any way, where the people, every individual in the party can either be playing a game or just spectating. You can be a spectator or a player. And then, you know, the spectators then have options to switch in between watching games and stuff like that. That's revolutionary, for not just for Stadia and cloud gaming, but gaming in general. That's going to do so much for just interaction and then streams too. And I imagine for the community championships that people will possibly use this to watch different games at one time. I remember me and Storm, when we were hosting last year, the championships, I can't remember which season it was, but we kind of had to manually do this, and it was complicated, but we did it. Now we don't have to go through all that complication. We can just observe, you know, Stadia doing via YouTube doing this for us, and we could just pick on the group that we want to observe at that time. That's so dope. But let me know what you think about that. Is it enticing you to give it a shot? And your mama knows says it's dope, and there are a bunch of things I can use it for, like tournaments, because most games don't have a spectator mode. Exactly. I start seeing a lot of people on last night during this vacation period. I mean, it just shakes things up when it comes to games and tournaments and stuff that you can hold. I mean, this is a game changer in a lot of ways. I mean, it's a game changing implementation. I won't say it's a game changer. It's a game changing implementation. I just, you know, again, I've talked about this in the past. I want to see that savvy push behind this. We're gonna talk about it shortly, about the media. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the current state of affairs when it comes to the rollout of this stuff is there's this silent approach where, hey Pete, did you see this? You want to give that a try? And that's the grassroots approach, which I think operating on that alone works a lot longer. It takes a lot longer to increase your footprint, opposed to the media talking about what you have and promoting it. But when the media won't do it sufficiently, then you got to come out there and you got to be savvy. You got to be savvy. And again, I'm not talking about taking off full-blown ads on billboards. I think, no, the ceiling on this business is too low. But I do want to start seeing YouTube shorts when this stuff happens. You can now stream to such and such. I think we're there where it's time for that. Now you can stream the party chat, you know. They know what they got to do to, again, just make it a short to where if people watch video games, it pops up for, those that watch video games. Just make it part of the Stadia channel. You know what I mean? Excuse me. Yeah, I think we're time for that. It's time for that. You know what I mean? That being said, it's great implementation, I think. I think I tried it. You can also watch, open a new tab, and play at the same time. That is so dope, Dre. That is so freaking dope. That is so dope. So it's like Stream Connect everywhere. That's so dope. So like if I'm playing Division 2 and I'm using Stream Connect, and say I get shot and I get killed. I mean, there is a spectator mode, but then I could tune y'all into Chris's gameplay if I'm playing with Chris Torres. Or say I gotta go to the bathroom. Now I like that idea. I want to take a break. I gotta go to the bathroom. Hey Chris, I'm putting you on. Now they gonna watch you. That's so dope. I think, and that'll really help out a lot of creators. Like Old Dirty Blasters. That's something I think we should do. Everybody get their YouTube channels up. Do direct streams. We do a party. And I'll be like, all right, now we're going to see what Geek to Sneak, what his crazy self is getting into. And then I put on Geek Stream. All right, Casey's about to top the leaderboard again, so I put on Casey's stream. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Speaking of Casey, I saw Casey had a question up here. You said Dead Island 2 re-reveal just made news. Yeah, I'm interested to see if Techland brings Dying Light. Hopefully they do. If they bring Dying Light, then I think that increases the chances of Dead Island coming. That'd be great. Casey said Logitech and Tencent are coming out with a cloud handheld device for cloud gaming only. Let's talk about this. No, I mean, what it is Tencent wants to take over the world. As you can see, they Tencent wants to take over the world. As you can see, they want a stake in Ubisoft. They done bought up all this and all that. And I think in the car, and where Tencent isn't big is they're not big in the States. So they're trying to get a stranglehold everywhere. And what Tencent wants is something that'll give them a strong stranglehold, which is Logitech's, that Logitech device. And that might be away from them, you know, because there's a lot of tension between US regulators with Chinese products, and particularly telecommunication products and apps. You see the constant issues that they have with TikTok. You see the issues that Hawaii would go through with US regulators. Them teaming up with Logitech I guess they feel would be a way for them to work around that. But again, regulators might catch on to that. eventually. We'll see. Hold on one second. Interesting stuff nonetheless. All right. So I think I'm gonna end the poll where 91% said that they would give the party stream feature a try. 8% said no. So interesting stuff nonetheless. All right. So the next topic that we're going to want to talk about is this week on Stadia. So this was kind of a bare bones one. And they did add more. They talk about Guilt is free to play this weekend, which is dope. And Guilt is a Stadia exclusive. It's really their main exclusive at the moment. Because it's not available anywhere else. It's not on PC or anything like that. So it says more game trials. I can't remember. I think there's 4 more game trials or whatever. But this is kind of light. And I know people are confused. Because I was a little perplexed at first. But here's what might be happening. And again, I'm not trying to make any excuse for it. Well, before I get into what might be happening, a lot of people made some good suggestions. They said, why ain't you talk? We just talked about this groundbreaking, what's it called? Why isn't that in there? Why isn't the quality of life enhancements in there? Why not talk about the new games? They're like Original Penguin, I think, had like 5 items on it. He was like, look, you could have very easily like add a little bit more meat and potatoes to this by adding these 5 items. Like, why aren't they, by adding like 3 more meaty items, why aren't they here? So before I get into all that, let's do this. We gotta keep it jiggy here. We gotta keep it real. What are your thoughts on this week on Stadia? What your grade, and then I'm gonna put this out here, and I'm gonna give you some of what my opinion is that might be happening. But we got to keep it real here. We got to keep it honest. This is important feedback. But what are your thoughts on this week on Stadia? So let's go to Cowboy. He says, so when I put on 8 weeks of a mastery tournament, I wanted to do one, and I wanted to have people get eliminated, but I had to be in every match. Yeah, and this is dope. This kills that. This kills that need to have to do that manually. This is so dope. Because I'm getting one to, if I'm getting a handheld, Dusty Rand says, I'm getting one that can play native games in addition to be cloud, to be honest. Yeah, I'm kind of with you to where my cloud device is my phone. Now, granted, who was I talking to? Somebody was talking to, I think I was rapping with Squid. We were talking about the Razer Kishi 2 that I believe that's that one, Squid, right? And correct me if I'm wrong, where you can play it without removing your case. I hate that. That's the only thing that I don't like about the Razer Key. I gotta take my case off, whatever, my phone case. But my phone is my cloud device. Like, I want this to be seamless. Like, and I want to get to a point to where they start making cases. Like, they start making gamer cases where, you know, and this is probably going to be years off. They start making gamer cases where I can extract out the one side. I can extract out the two sides from behind my case and play games there, and they can, you know, make it as thin as possible, whatever, you know, or if it got to be thick, it's just got to be thick, you know, whatever. But that's what I'm wanting it to get to. I don't need another device. I mean, I've been gaming for 35 plus years, and yes, I used to have all those devices. And I mean, somebody had showed me way back, or showed on Twitter way back in the day, where the Game Boy Ultimate, right, where you would have the light and the magnifying glass, and you hooked all this stuff up. And I mean, as awesome as that was as a kid, you know, because you had Legos and you plugged this in and plugged that in. As an adult, I don't want to do all that stuff. I want to start seeing gamer cases. I like to see Razer or somebody start making gamer cases where, you know, I know that would be complicated, or you start making attachments to the back of phones to where you can just slide out the controller or whatever and be somewhat sturdy or whatever. If they can do that one day, that'd be dope. Like, it's a clip that you have on your phone that goes over your cover, right? And then you can use it. Just imagine, I got my phone sitting in front of me, and you just, you know, press a button in the sides, the one thumbstick side with the diagonal, with the D-pad pops out on one side, and then on the other side, the other thumbstick with the ABXY button, and then, you know, up top is the trigger button. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they can make something like that you could attach to the back of your phone already, that would be dope. You can leave it on or take it off. You know what I mean? Like, that'd be dope. But I don't want an extra device. I don't want an extra device. Well, let's get back to today's question about the poll. We gotta keep it real. Dusty says, yeah, if there isn't much to report, hold off. The other platforms don't put out a blog. Just put it all out in a save point or something. My phone is my cloud device. Also, and you got to get that MGX Pro. It even fits my phone with the case on it, and I have the Z Fold 3. It's hands down the best mobile. Okay, I got to try that out then. I think I did hear about that, the MGX Pro. I'm gonna look that up. Yeah, let's look it up right now. MGX Pro. Oh, okay, I see what you, yeah. I have something similar to that already, but this could be better, because the thing that I have is older. It's a few years old. This could be better. I see what you're saying, Cowboy. I already got something like this. Whatever. Yeah, that's kind of dope. Let's put it up here. I'm just wondering, does this thing extract to a small size? Yeah, it looks sturdy. And you said you got your case on. Yeah, that looks dope. I like that. Oh, snap. Okay, I like that. Oh man, okay. Shoot. I might have to get this. Gaming without compromises with the design that mirrors the traditional controller. Also features, yeah, okay, that's what I'm saying. It got the textured grips and everything. I like that. Technical characteristics. Okay. Connects to, okay, it connects via Bluetooth. What I like about the Kishi though is the Kishi connects directly to your device, like wired. Like I think you stick, yeah. And that's the reason why it probably you got to take your case off. Like what I'm looking for is for these devices to have like a wire on them that like extracts out or whatever, and you could just plug in. You know what I'm saying? That's because again that eliminates latency and lag. That's what I like about the Kishi. But I mean, this is dope. This is dope. And devices to where it connects via Bluetooth, they're not horrible. Like I have something that works exactly like this. It's called the, hold on one second. You know what? I think I gave it to my son. I don't think I have it here anymore. Yeah, I gave it to my son. It's oh man. Yeah, I gave it to my son. I forgot the name of it, man. It's a Chinese developer, which is not called a Chinese developer too. And yeah, it works the exact same way, but this seems sturdier and less bulkier than the other one that I had, because the other one that I had was made for phones, for big phones and tablets. So I could have my case on with that one and still play. But no, this is dope. I like this. I like this. I might have to give this one a try, but what I'm looking for is something that, like, you know, and again, I'm trying to be an engineer live on air. Something with a wire to it, which it doesn't exist right now. So this might be your best option, because I think I've been hearing good things about this. This would be your best option if you don't want to take your case off your phone. I'm looking for something with a wire that I could just stick into the USB port or whatever, and then something I could just stick to the back of my phone that I could extract these two sides out of. You know what I mean? Of course, they would have to be a little bit thinner but strong. You know what I mean? Again, you got to figure out how to make all that possible. I'm nowhere near an engineer. That's what I'm hoping. But I'm saying all that to say this. Like Cowboy, like Dusty, I don't want another device just for cloud gaming. But Casey, to Casey's point, who brought it up, I think that's Tencent's way of possibly getting into the US or the North America's market and the European market more severely, to be a major player there, starting to become, because it sounds like it's going to happen. They're going to start being a major player there, and for them to get past the regulatory bodies, an attempt to get past the regulatory bodies when it comes to regulating a lot of these Chinese devices that operate on U.S. soil, and especially if you're going to be a cloud-only device. Ooh, yeah, that's going to be tricky. It's going to be interesting to see, and they may be using Logitech as a front in order to get that done. It still might not work. Yeah, cases. Yeah, and I'm just dreaming right now. I'm just dreaming right now. It feels like they cut an Xbox controller in half and slap your phone in. Okay, yeah, yep. I was about to ask, did you do a review? Okay, cool. It's a DocBot one. Is it the one called the Shark? No, I forgot. Man, I have two versions. I have one where it's smaller, where I can't take the case off. Well, I mean, where I got to take the case off, and I got another one where I can't. Well, I don't have to take the case off, and I gave both of them to my son, who destroys everything. And I wanted to keep them as collector items, but again he destroys everything. And I'm looking over here at my game shelf, and it's not there. So yeah, I must have gave it to him, and he must have lost it and destroyed it, knowing him. I forgot the name of them too. But they kind of work like that. But this looks a little bit more sturdier. The one that I had, I mean, it works it works under the same premise. It's just I had got that like 3 or 4 years ago. No, I don't want to say 3 or 4. I'm lying. Maybe about 2 years ago, I got it. But microphones with built-in controls, or not necessarily. I mean, that's going to be kind of hard. I think it's the cases, which I get to where if you make individual cases with built-in controls. Well, here's the way I see it. The control part would be the same. It's just that to the back of it, you got to, the control part would always be the same. So to the back of the phone case, you would just stick the control part to it. It's just the phone part that would be different. And of course, they'll be a little bit more expensive, but I think it'll be worth it. Like, I wouldn't mind spending $60 on a phone case that had a control to it, and where I could just extract the parts to it. That's what I think we need to start seeing. I don't want a cloud only device. I don't want. I mean, to me, that defeats the purpose of cloud gaming. Cloud gaming is supposed to be seamless, and that's why, again, I have nothing against those that love and enjoy the Steam Deck. It's just, for me, to get it for cloud gaming specifically, nah, I'm not doing that. No, it defeats the purpose to me. So, all right. Yeah, the Razer Kishi. Yeah. Yep. I love the Razer Kishi. Just the only thing I don't like about it is having to take my case off. That's it. If I didn't have to take my case off, I wouldn't need anything else. All right. So there's that. And the last little bit of news that I want to talk about. Well, before we move on, let's talk about the twos a little bit. I think what's happening is because people they look at this week and look at last week, and they're like, why didn't you just say, I think the Outbreak Contagious Memory news and maybe from Space news had to come out, but maybe hold back the Nullarbuk news and something, you know what I'm saying? But here's what I think could be happening. There might be something, because I'm confused on why they wouldn't have the news on the what's it called out yet, unless they're making it a practice. We're not going to officially talk about it until it's rolled out to everybody. If they're making that their stance, then yeah, okay. But maybe they're going to talk about it later this week. Maybe there could be some other news coming later this week. Who knows? But what could be happening is, again, there could be other news coming later this week, and that they're bundling those two things together. What I would do then in a situation, because here's I think the problem that people are having, what you understand. When it comes to the video game world, identity is everything. What is the purpose of this? What is the purpose of that? What is your identity? I think this week on Stadia's identity has become the flagship communication between Stadia and its gamers. So if this week on Stadia represents your flagship communication, and that's the identity that it has, if you do have additional news that's coming out very, very soon, just say this week on Stadia is coming out later this week, but we do have some news dropping today. Then you put this out as that news. And then this week on Stadia would be the bigger news. That is if you do got bigger news coming. If you don't have bigger news coming, and this is it for this week, I think you do, there has to be some type of pacing. Just better balancing. You know what I mean? Because it is your flagship. Again, when you're, it's all, like I said, it's having that savviness. And when you're in Rome, do what the Romans do. I get that Google is unorthodox in a lot of things that they do, but you're talking to gamers, and there has to be like a guardrails around how you interact with gamers. Gamers have expectations and of fluidity about certain things. So this week on Stadia is looked at as your flagship communication. Doesn't always have to be fantastic and great, no, but you kind of have more like this from last week. You could have talked about contagious memories coming, left one of these in here, or just left it about contagious memories. And then brought all that information over to here, because the information here is coming soon. There's not even a release date. And I think contagious memories information was worthy enough to have its own. And again, I'm not being biased, because I love Evan to death. You know what I mean? And I enjoy talking to him, and I'm happy to have been part of interviewing him and trying to work and get his series on the platform. Forget all that. But I think it was worthy enough to, like, this is more of a this week on Stadia than this is. I mean, than this is. Like, this should have been flipped. Like, I get guilt. Maybe this was the time for it to be released. So you can't flip, but what you do is, I think you make contagious memories, and the demo for I believe it's Shadows of the Fallen. You make the demo because that's groundbreaking. That is groundbreaking. Shades of Horror. You make contagious memories in the Shades of Horror demo. You make that up. You make that this post. And then you hold the Dungeon of Nubluk and From Space and put it with, put it with guilt. And then have these extra things going on. And that's if you're going to bundle the news about the rollout later. Maybe you're bundling it with something else. I mean, that could be happening, but I get the questions. I mean, it's not awful or horrible, but it is questionable, and you want to, again, things have to have an identity, and the current identity with this week on Stadia is this your flagship communication, periodic communication, and letting people know what's going on. That shouldn't be meatier than this. When this you didn't even have to report on yet because there's no official date. You see what I'm saying? I don't know. It's a pacing thing for me. Something that I'm familiar with and I've had to deal with. It's curious about that one. But all in all, it is what it is. I mean, despite the communication, we don't play communications. play games. And the stuff that we know is coming at this point, and the implementation that's here, I'm happy to see. But let's get you all's thoughts on this week on Stadia. So we have 13 votes. Let's end that poll. Yeah, 46% give it a C, 30% give it a D, 15% gave it an A, and 7% gave it a B. Okay. Cool. Yeah, exactly. MM2K defeats the purpose. I agree. Yeah, and I think Casey's talking about the cloud device. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Even if they have another blog, still complaints, to be fair. The info on the blog is no bueno. Could have been better. Yeah. I don't. It's not the end of the world. There was too much good that happened this week and last week to where I don't think a blog post makes it any better. You know what I'm saying? But this is the Fortune 500 guy talking to me. Pacing and identity and communication is important. It's confusing, and we may be unconfused soon. I am just a little confused on how this looks like a this week on Stadia, or what I would expect out of a simple this week on Stadia, opposed to this, where all you had to do is take these two, put them here, along with this info. And I think the Contagious Memories announcement and the Shades of Horror demo are big enough to hold your own weight for a next up on Stadia. That's again if the new tech implementation isn't an option yet, because you're going to wait till it rolls out to everybody else. You know what I'm saying? It rolls out to everybody. Yep. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, Chris and Suna. Who knows? That's why I said there could be something else going on. We never know. But I get the questions. I understand it. Is it it's just it's less of a, oh my God, what are you guys doing? Than more of a chuckle. Like, okay. You know what I mean? Because again, at the end of the day, we're playing games in this implementation, not words. But again, you still want to see the words fit where they should. You know what I mean? So just interesting stuff. All right. Well, with that said, folks, that concludes today's show. Thank y'all so much for coming through, man. Great stuff coming aboard. There's one more thing I do want to talk about. There is this media post. Well, like we talked about this yesterday on Sound Off, where we talked about the media, right? And how they are singing a different tune as of late. And it all started off with Zach's. Well, I mean, it kind of started off with. Let me get the things chronologically correct. It kind of started off with the bigger tier, the top tier publications saying to themselves, you know what? Now we're starting to understand the Stadia thing is still building, and to be looked at as other cloud platforms. We'll come back later. We'll put our pitchforks away later, until later. You know, when this thing is a little bit more serious to combat with the mainstream. That's the way they looked at it, which I think is a better outlook. But you still have some of these middle tier places that were still trying to take shots, and then you had the PC Magazine article that came out. Still a couple more of these middle tier places trying to take shot, and then Zach Laidlaw, who I don't know if it was via freelance or if he was permanently with How to Geek now, I'm not sure. He put out an article where he talked about 5 reasons to pick up Stadia. I think it was a very good article. We talked about that and some other things on Sound Off. And you immediately started to see like the temperature change in the room. Now, just a few days after that, I'm seeing more and more and more positive talk from entities that normally wouldn't do so. And I say so about Digital Trends because I remember Digital Trends not too long ago, probably not by the same author, but not too long ago had something out to where they were very bad talking Stadia. I can't remember if it was an article about what are the top cloud gaming platforms or something going on with Stadia that was actually positive, but then it was encapsulated in a lot of negativity about the platform. You know what I'm saying? And you look at what they're saying now. I just want to read this, these last 2 paragraphs. Stadia has more than 250 games available to purchase. Everything is streamed over the internet, which means you'll want to make sure that you've got some decent speed and there are no loading times or multi-gigabyte game updates to wait on. LG, meanwhile, has some of the best TVs you could buy in 2022, including the incredible LG G2 Gallery Series OLED TV. How good? For a review, the LG G2 is an absolutely remarkable, jaw-dropping, gorgeous TV to behold, and it earns every cent of its asking price. For those looking for a premium home entertainment experience, the LG G2 OLED Evo TV is one of the biggest options on the market today. In other words, the perfect platform for 3 months free of Stadia. Now, again, what he's saying is the LG TV is the perfect platform to try Stadia, but you've never heard these tier 2 journalists put the word perfect in Stadia Pro together. And they accurately depict, and this is another thing that they've done out of the onset. They properly clarified the difference between Stadia and Stadia Pro. It says Stadia itself is free. You just buy the games. Stadia Pro costs $10 a month and ramps up things with discounts on some titles and other made free altogether. It also unlocks 4K resolution at 60 frames per second and 5.1 surround sound with HDR. Wow. Here's what I think could possibly be happening. And this is going to lead to our final poll question before we end for today. All right. So here's the question. Let's talk about it. I can't believe I almost closed out the show without doing this, without asking you guys or talking about this. Hold on one second. Is this fair down the middle and in some cases positive reviews of Stadia only a short phase? And let me explain that. I'm not expecting every time an article comes out on Stadia, it's positive or it's nice. Like there's people out there that don't like Stadia, and there's people that reasonably tried it and don't like it. That's fine. Just when you're giving your analysis or your conjecture, whatever, that you attach the facts to it. That's all our expectation is. Attach the facts to it. Don't speak absolutist on your conjecture. Say the way I see it, the way we view it. What I'm thinking is, right? We learned all that stuff in English class, like 6th, 7th, 8th grade, correct? Right? But there's going to be people out there that are going to review Stadia and not like it. And that's fine. Just as long as they've done enough research on it that they do on Xbox and PlayStation when something comes out. Xbox just dropped this and I don't like it. PlayStation, but then they're thorough about it. Unless they're Kotaku. Well, Kotaku, I don't know. I've blocked Kotaku because they were just being over the top. But it seems like from the things that have slipped through, they've simmered down a little bit from this super outrageous thing that they was trying to do to get ultimate clicks. It seems like they simmered down a little bit. That being said, I think what happened is when that killed by Google thing, like killed by Google, cut off their nose and spite their face, I think. When that killed by Google thing happened and they all bit on that, and even skeptics of the platform told them that the people that bid on that now you've gone too far. I think what happened was, because they used to look at us solely as just what the parasocial, we have a parasocial relationship with Stadia, even though in the same breath, these same people that say you just have a parasocial relationship with Stadia, they'll go and kiss the backside of Phil Spencer all day. Right? But it's different because you're doing it for Xbox, because Xbox is more liked. That doesn't make any sense. That being said, we were just looked at as having the parasocial relationship with Stadia. And that was the thing that was brewing. You know, you saw the journalists getting together, and even some creators, unfortunately, got into that and tried to tag enthusiasts of the platform a certain way and demagogue and things like that. And they were trying to get that to brew. And then there, of course, was the community fighting back on that. And then I think what happened was when the killed by Google thing came out, and those that were trying to really support that narrative that Stadia was dying, when that fell on its face, and it fell on its face twice actually, when that fell on its face, people, when I say people, I mean publications, realize, you know what? This is making us look bad. Like maybe we need to evaluate what we're saying about this platform, because we are looking extremely ignorant. And we've been saying for the last couple of years plus, this thing is dying, and it keeps growing. Like they keep adding more to it. Like, there's going to be a point of no return, which honestly, I feel like for some, you're already there, but that's just me. But there's going to be a point of no return with this stuff. Like, maybe we should stop right now. Maybe we should start finding people that like this platform, or at least are more knowledgeable on the platform, who aren't suffering from Stadia deranged syndrome, suffering from SDS. Let's find some people that aren't suffering from SDS, that are knowledgeable about the platform, that can relate to the community. And let's get them to talk about this, because there is a community. Just let us not say something accurate. They're there, and we were trying to put a tag on them, and man, did we look stupid. That's what I think is happening. But I want to give a shout out to Dusty Arand in our chat, the postmaster. He says the media will probably be back to their old tricks in November and or February. Now, Dusty, can you in the chat? I'm gonna give you time. I'm gonna bloviate a little bit here. I'm gonna bloviate here. I want you to explain again in the chat, Dusty, what you said to me on Sound Off yesterday. Because you use precedent, and I love using precedent. That's why I always say precedent. Don't. You know, when we look at why things happen, we got to not understand that the event happened, but we got to understand why the event happened. I've heard people talk about, well, Xbox paid billions to get into gaming. Stadia has to do the same thing. No, Xbox paid billions to stop Sony from taking over the living room. It's not the same thing. Xbox thought but Microsoft, who was not into gaming at all, had no appetite for it at a large scale, thought that Sony was going to seriously infringe upon their stranglehold of the living room. This is all before cloud gaming, the possibilities of playing wherever you want. These are the Steve Ballmer days. And they had to stop Sony at all costs. It wasn't about them becoming a major gaming platform, that people could love and respect and could. No. Xbox was a stopgap. It didn't make any money until last generation. It was always in the red. They wanted it to thwart PlayStation's progression in the living room. And once the 360 came out and they felt like they were successful, then they were contemplating, how can we make this profitable at a Microsoft level? And that's when it was TV. Because again, it wasn't about being such a respectable gaming platform more than it was stopping the dominance in the living room. So as soon as they felt like that, okay, they chopped Sony down to size as far as gaming is concerned, and David beat Goliath. Now how can we make gaming something that's lucrative at a Microsoft conjuncture? And that was TV. That's why it was all about TV. You couldn't trade games and all the unpopular stuff that hindered the Xbox One generation. So we gotta go beyond just having awareness of events that happen. We gotta have knowledge on why they happened. Let me see if Dusty put in, shout out to the homie Bud. Oh man, he says the sound of chat still up. I've got to refresh my own memory. So shout out to Lo-Fi in the chat. So the reason why I brought that up is because it's important to know precedent. You can't be too involved in the first 5 minutes of now and then only have awareness of some things that happened in the past. You gotta understand why they happened. Precedent is important. So here's what Dusty Aran did. Dusty said, in so many words, MM2K, don't get too excited about what's going on. Remember, this happened last year at the end of the year, where the media was playing nice. They were playing nice last year. And as soon as the opportunity awarded itself, they went right back to where yeah. So it's just what I hope happens is that while stuff like this comes out from from Digital Trends, while it's there, put it out there. Say, great article by Digital Trends. Like this is a great article. I think someone from Stadia should tweet this back out there. Great, yeah, we team worked hard. Like they normally do that. They're normally on top of that stuff. But take advantage of this while it's happening. Great article by Phil talking about the hard work that we did to get the Stadia app running efficiently and smooth on LG TVs, and our partner, we value our partnership with LG. Get that out there. But I'm with Dusty Aran on this one. That's a famous saying from my wife. My wife, whenever I'm arguing with somebody, like I had an argument with my best friend about some things, and my wife was there, and when me and my wife down the road had a similar situation that me and my best friend was arguing about, she was like, yeah, I'm with DC on that one. You know what I'm saying? Trying to say, I agree. I ain't say it during the argument, but I agree with your homie DC on that one. You know what I'm saying? So I'm with Dusty Aran on that one. Don't get too comfortable with this. We're hoping that this brings more thought-provoking journalists who are not familiar with the platform, for them to get familiarized with the platform, its target demo, and start looking at 5,000 feet, not just the things that may have not landed well, but the successes, to get the full story of this platform. That's what we ultimately hope. But again, this is the media. They're not going to change overnight. They just were put in a very compromising position where they were embarrassed. Let Time Magazine or somebody else come out with another Stadia's closing down story that caveats facts, doesn't bring up the keynote and all this other stuff. If something like that were to come out tomorrow, what you think they're going to do? What you think they're going to do? You think they're going to sit there and look at the report and be like, you know what, let's kick the tires on this before we report this? Let's see, how legitimate this is. No, they just gonna roll with it. They're gonna roll with it, and they're gonna talk about it like it's gospel, because that's the way the wind is gonna go. It's just right now they got embarrassed, and until they prove otherwise, until the level of consistency and knowledge that they have about the platform, that they talk about the platform overall, matches the level of consistency that they talk about every other platform, until that's consistent, I'm not going to believe otherwise, and I caution you to do the same thing. Give kudos where kudos belongs. This article, for instance, deserves its flowers, but don't expect to see them flyers still alive next week. Is all I'm saying. Okay, so here goes our poll let me get to this chat, and then we're gonna get into our poll. Except for IGN, says Dusty Iran. Yeah, that whole IGN thing, man. I hate to do this. I guess I'm not supposed to do this as co-owner or co-partner of we're more like a community-based, guess what's going on now type thing, but a publication ourselves. There's a saying about IGN, that IGN represents the first three letters in the word ignorant. I'm just amazed at the largest game publication in the world having tech specialists that still don't understand the fundamentals of the tech that they're supposed to specialize over. You are not supposed to mainly survey. If you want to check out his versatility, that's different. But you're not to mainly survey cloud gaming under 2.4 gigahertz of internet. You're not supposed to do it. You're going to walk away from the experience, regardless of the platform, with your take on it, tainted. Because that's not how you're supposed to play cloud gaming. It's supposed to be on a 5.0 gigahertz connection if you're, of course, wirelessly is what I'm talking about. And for the largest game entity in the world to have I've heard from Dustin Lingari to this new guy that they got tested out, Amazon Luna, that took like a little, mini cheap shot at Stadia, or in the end of his, it's amazing. But that's why I say it's become more about gossip, copy and paste, and fancy words. Let me throw that in there. Fancy words opposed to really knowing what you're talking about. It's very saddening. Let me get to this chat before we close out. Callie Druvos says, I think Stadia is making big differences besides the twos. They are now basically included in TVs as well, as are starting to move to places they don't, or moving, I would assume that is, have much money to afford heavy gaming stuff. I think people who put themselves out as a gamer and do a honest review is fine, but someone who backs it 100 at the start then turns their backs on it, I don't know. I mean, here's my thing on it, Callie. Let me show you something real quick. This is why people changing their minds don't bother me. Here, let me see if I can find it. Stop it. Here it goes. All right, so I'm going to show this to you. Here's why people changing their minds never bother me. So, Jack Buser, that used to be the head of games at Stadia, was asked, how do you convince an audience? And mind you, Jack Buser is like the head of cloud. Something, you know, I forgot what his new title is. He's still at Google, but he got a raise. Just how do you convince an audience, they were asked in this interview, Jack was, that's already built up a games library, friendships online, to shift over to your platform as opposed to ones they have spent 10 or more years growing up with? And so Jack was like, whoa. Slow down, puppy. Slow down. This is a new experience that has some groundbreaking elements to it that we think a demographic of gamers are really going to look at the current options and look at this and say, oh, this is useful to me either as a supplement to these other options or as really putting me in a place to where I could game to where the other options just were not attainable to me. But let's get one thing right. The current options just all around are more robust than what we're offering in totality at the moment. There are some things that we're doing that they can't do right now that they're not doing. But when it comes to the average gamer, the traditional way of gaming is just robust right now. And we're building to get to where they're at and beyond, because of we're cloud gaming, we are going to be able to do beyond, but we got to build to that. So here's what he said. He said the same device you are using certainly has better and more rich game experiences. That will take time to play out because gamers will have to realize, oh my gosh, Stadia has improved so much from years ago. I can't believe I'm still using the same screen, but that's the third piece there. Okay. So there are going to be gamers that are going to play Stadia, like what they're seeing, and kind of have, but like what they're seeing, really be impressed by what Stadia presents, but their overall needs are more met by traditional gaming at this point in time. And in that process, you're going to have gamers that are going to try to fit a square into a circle hole, where they really want the traditional experience automatically transferred over to what Stadia can do. And that's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time to build. So what you're seeing is you're seeing those gamers that, again, were more impressed than the traditional gamer would be by Stadia because they were more than willing to give it a try, opposed to just listening to other people bite into their sandwich and tell them whether it was tasty or not. They were willing to give it a try, and they actually like it. Now they're like, okay, now that you're here, just make it happen and give me the experience. Just merge the experience that I already have into what you're providing. Do it right now. Hurry up, come on. And even the platform holders themselves said, no, this is going to be something that has to play out over years. It's not that simple. It's not going to be that easy. And there's going to be people that are going to realize that and then walk away and say, well, damn, I really do like what you guys are offering, but my needs in totality are more met over here. So I got to go back over here. Even though I was very optimistic about this, that, and the other, I got to go back over here. Those people will come back. Stadia announced it because they knew the charm of this platform went beyond its current demographic. They knew that. So, but, and that's okay, because you welcome everybody, but you got to have a current demo. Like I'm barely, I want to say, me personally, I'm barely on the outside of the Stadia demo, but I prefer Stadia, and here's why. I'm not a gamer that has to play everything. And even though I do appreciate the prettiest polygons and compute units, I don't need the prettiest polygons in the compute units consistently to enjoy gaming. I need my 60 frames per second, don't get me wrong. But as I've learned, the convenience of gaming is more than polygon and compute units. So Stadia provides me the games that I want to play for the most part. And it provides those games to me in a way that speaks to me way more than other platforms. So even though when I came into this thing, I may have registered more outside of the demographic, me having this platform in my hands and using it, it really peeled the layers back and really showed me who I really am at this point as a gamer. It's going to do that for some people that are out of the target demo. I think Pete is another one. Pete plays everywhere, to where Peter Cottontail, co-host of SSC Podcast, he plays everywhere. He has all the platforms that he wants to play on. Plays on PC and everything. But again, for that same reason, like, he doesn't always have to have the prettiest polygons and the compute units. You know what I'm saying? He's going to have additional platforms to play everything that he wants to play. But it's more about the attributes of Stadia that speak more to him than the other stuff. And then that help reveal to him how it revealed to me. What are the things that really make you happiest as a gamer? Like, you can get excited about things and get your interest piqued about things, as I was excited about, the highest polygon count and all this other stuff. What Stadia showed me is, because I have a computer that can run all that stuff, but what Stadia showed me is that I'd rather have 60 frames per second, quick and easy access and portable access and easily accessible access to the games that I want to play, and get that with as least friction as possible. That exposed it helped reveal to me. It's kind of like taking that allergy test where you may love, chocolate chip cookies, but you realize that the eggs in the cookies are, not best for you. And it's probably better that you go to something else. That's what Stadia helped reveal to me. And that's what Stadia helped reveal to a lot of people that were just on the cusp outside of its target demo. But that's not everybody. Some people were expecting a faster acclimation of those things that they got with mainstream platforms. And it's like what Jack Buser says here. Again, let's go back to it. He says that will take time to play out because gamers will have to realize, oh my gosh, Stadia's improved so much from years ago. So to that, Callie Drew, I'm not mad at people for changing their minds and at the end of the day realizing that that's where they ultimately fall here. I think the biggest problem with that is those people saying, I didn't get what I want out of it, so therefore I'm soured, I'm bummed, I'm disappointed, and you should be disappointed too, because I'm disappointed. It's that again, I used to hate this term, but it falls in line with what we're dealing with more prevalently nowadays than ever. It's that entitled, like I'm entitled to where if I'm not happy, the world has to stop. No. You move on. Come back when it's more your tune. Sorry, ultimately, I feel bad for you that ultimately you couldn't feel the happiness. But again, we're all different. This thing is for me, it's just not for you. You're not wrong for it not being for you. And there's a lot of people that, and I think, and we covered this for a long time. We talked about this, and a lot of entities that you're referring to, Callie, reviewed this too prior to them walking away. I just think that they didn't realize that Jack Buser was talking to them too. You know what I mean? Because they're used to the fast pace that Xbox and PlayStation move, but they move at that fast pace again because they're mainstream platforms. You can't just force yourself to be a mainstream platform. It took Xbox to even compete on the mainstream stage a while. Like, I'm gonna put it to you like this. If Xbox, let's just say if Xbox was the THQ box, I'm just gonna throw a name out there, or the Square Enix box. Say if it was Square Enix's first rodeo and the Square Enix tried to release a box and they end up losing, like Xbox lost a total of 10 billion, right? I can't remember. I think with the original Xbox, they lost to 4 billion there, and then they lost to 6 billion with the 360. It could be the other way around. Even though the 360 was more successful, there was the Red Rings of Death, and it was just the carefree amount of money that they spent to keep their foot the best way they could on PlayStation's neck with deals and so forth. And because again, it wasn't about being a respectable gaming platform for the end of time. It was, how do we keep PlayStation out of the living room? And once they felt like they slayed the almighty dragon, now how can we make gaming make sense for Microsoft? And that's where it was TV. And against, that's why you got the Xbox One generation. Now, granted, don't get me wrong, there were some great people that cared about gaming behind those efforts, like Peter Moore. Peter Moore is the best gaming executive ever, period. You have to fight me on that one. There ain't no, I can understand your opinion. I could care less. I'll pull out my brass knuckles and my barbed wire bat on that one. We can get ECW style on that one. Peter Moore, by far, nobody's better. Peter Moore, by far, everything Peter Moore touches turns to gold. The only thing that he was involved with that didn't last the test of time was the Dreamcast, and that was because Sega wouldn't listen to him. But everything Peter Moore touched turned into gold. Man went and ran a damn soccer team. That turned into gold, or football, whatever you call it. Football or soccer, whatever land, wherever you land at. There was no better gaming exec than Peter Moore. So don't get me wrong, there were some great people behind this platform that really cared about gaming, but Xbox just went through this artillery of people to help them stop PlayStation. as being so damn dominant. And once they did that, they didn't go to the Peter Moore calibers anymore. I mean, I'm not saying Donnie D was horrible. I don't fall on that side. I just think that gaming exec caliber that Peter Moore and Seamus and all of them that wasn't Donnie D. He wasn't of that ilk. And they didn't care about that ilk anymore because they felt like that Microsoft is used to, once they've overcome and they beat you, you stay down. That's what they're used to. So they thought once they slayed PlayStation during the 360 era, that was it. It was over. PlayStation's done. They're going to remain the kings forever. And it didn't matter who they put up in there as long as now this new person can help bring the money up. Now that we got to be in gaming because gaming is a threat. And if we let Sony, get a hold of gaming, this is the mindset. This is the Steve Ballmer era mindset. If we let Sony get a hold of gaming, they're going to take over the living room. So we got to be in gaming, but how can gaming make sense to us? That's how TV. That was how. Don't get me wrong. There were some projects that Donnie D wanted to work on that were cool. But when you look at the era of Donnie D and Phil Spencer as his head of studios, that's when the quality of the Xbox bangers really started to go down. That's when the Xbox games were really starting, the quality of the games that they curated started to go down. When Donnie D and Phil Spencer were paired together. And Donnie D was, he had these ideas, just never came to fruition. So I think Donnie D's problem is execution. And then you have Phil Spencer, whose thought process of effective titles for the platform were not as robust and not as hard-hitting as were prior. But Ballmer didn't care, because Ballmer was now going to take Microsoft's way of gaming that they felt like they had a stranglehold on and present it in a way that was lucrative for Microsoft. And if that wasn't what you were used to, he didn't give a damn, because now we got to make these billions back. So when you look at what Google is doing, in contrast, they are doing things at a leaner and meaner, in a more cost relative fashion, because the whole taking over the living room thing is done. That era is over with. It's all about the cloud now. Microsoft set that trend with Satya Nadella. It's all about the cloud now. It's all about us coming to you. You not coming to us coming to you eventually. And we got to be out of the red with this. We got to make money. Now, granted, and this is a big argument in the community right now, Game Pass, they're spending the war chest on Game Pass. And they consider Game Pass sustainable, but it's not profitable. It's sustainable, meaning we can still operate and take the loss in revenue, because we're shelling out more than what we're bringing in because of Game Pass, but they're willing to do that with the caveat that if we can get to so many subscribers, that all changes around. And I think that magic number for Xbox is 80 million. I think if they get to 80 million subscribers, then I don't think there's any doubt that Game Pass is profitable. I think the progress that they want to see each year is it go up on the low end 5 million, on the high end 10 million a year. And you got to consider that being that, again, it's not just the most expensive part is them dropping their AAA games in there. I mean, AAA games now are costing hundreds of millions of dollars to create and market. You don't put these in there, and then you don't have a rate to where you're going to have like 2 or 3 of these a year with the studios that you have, you know, and have a subscription service that's $15 and it be sustainable with only 30 million subscribers. Now you're going to need to be upwards towards 80 million. If they can get as many people on Game Pass as they had owning Xbox 360s, they're good. And what Microsoft, so that's what they mean by sustainable. Is if we can gradually keep growing that 10 million per year, maybe a couple of years is only 5 million, but that 10 million a year where we get to 80 million, then it's going to be all worth it. And especially now that you got, oh my God, now you got Activision possibly coming on and all that stuff is going to go on the Game Pass. Yeah, you definitely got to hit that 80 million threshold. So even though Microsoft is doing that, that's them really spending R&D into growing Game Pass. Like before Google launched Stadia, they had to spend a whole bunch of money in getting its infrastructure up. Same with Luna. You know what I'm saying? Same with GFN. GFN for years was, you know, wasn't charging anybody anything. It was free. Right? Free was in the free beta. So that's how Microsoft is looking at Game Pass. We're building this infrastructure of this subscription service, just like everybody. And then, you know, we're building xCloud alongside with it. But besides that, we got to operate lean and mean. We got to make money in this process. Overall, we got to make money in this process. That's the precedent that Microsoft set. And really, when you look at every dollar that they spent, in the rate of return, even with Game Pass not being profitable, it's a real lean and mean operation. So no, Luna's not going to do what Xbox did in the prehistoric days. Google's not going to do it either. Xbox themselves ain't going to do it for their cloud platform. That's why games were not issued a la carte in Game Pass for a long time, or xCloud for a long time, because in order for them to do so, they were looked at as different SKUs and they would have had to pay a lot of money, like how Stadia does, in order for that to happen as well. So they took the time to negotiate and figure it out, and we're going to see what it is that they came up with. But they weren't just going to say, okay, well, we want Resident Evil 2 on xCloud, and if you're not going to put it in Game Pass, here goes 30 million to let us make it available via xCloud. No, they weren't going to do that because it doesn't make sense. Same reason why Amazon Luna does not have its tier games. It's Amazon Studios games, 2 very successful games at that, closer to launch, but still. That's why they're not on the platform. These are premium offerings. We want all of our money. So if you want to try this game, you're going to have to buy it. You're not going to go to our $5.99 subscription service and try it there. Our subscription service right now isn't that important for it to be a tester for our games. If you're going to spend money to access our top tier games, you better spend top tier retail money, or spend the retail money that we want. That's why Amazon Luna hasn't put those Prime games, those Amazon Studios games into Luna Plus yet. Because if you put them there, that doesn't guarantee that those people stay. A lot of them could test it and say, and here you're selling it on the cheap. It's not that important yet when most people are not going to be dedicated to the cloud. They're just not. What other questions do we have? Dusty says, I remember last February and somewhat spring, there were negative articles almost. Later in the spring, there were positive articles that clapped back to negative. Exactly. Yeah. Callie Drew says, MM2K, I like how you make me ask questions I never thought I would ask. That's what we do, man. We try to be thought provoking. That's what we try to do. Is I'm in a group that is checking out Stadia, but my needs are better met by Xbox and Steam. And that's fine. Absolutely fine. That's good that it's in your portfolio. And let's go back here. That's all they want right now. Continue to provide your feedback. Tell them what you like. Tell them what you don't like. I'm going to tell you from a Fortune 500 experience, Nick, all these people that curse out Stadia, whether you're creators or you're whatever, it's a fool's errand. You get ignored. Even if you're a consumer, you get ignored. You can display your disappointment and say, look, I was really expecting y'all to have that Generation 2 out yet, and I don't want to play such and such game until it. It's okay to do that. You ain't got to handle it with kid gloves, but to be belligerent and just off the cuff, you get ignored. You're not serious. Because if you're a serious consumer, one that fits their demographic, you know how to display your disappointment without going over the top. You're not just some fly-by-night person that just doesn't, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, provide the feedback. Let them know what they're doing that you like, that you want them to extend upon. Let them know what they're missing to why they're not your number one platform. And you never know. Just like this week shows you, like a lot of people were convinced, Nick, and a lot of well-intended people too, who are just passionate about gaming and they just happen to want something sooner than what the platform makers are ready to do for various reasonable reasons. There are a lot of people that thought that Stadia had nothing else to show. That they've played every single card in the deck and there was nothing else for them to show. They thought that. And as this week shows, or the last few weeks showed, a lot of us have no clue what Stadia is doing. Why? Because Stadia operates in an unorthodox fashion like its parent company, Google. Google is just unorthodox in how it does things. Stadia is part of Google. That's it. Now, I'm not saying because it's unorthodox, you gotta like and agree with everything that's going on. Like we questioned earlier today. Like again, I'm cautiously questioning this week on Stadia. I did more than cautiously, even though they're unorthodox and how they do things and they're close to the vest. I criticize how they handled the giving of codes of Mortal Kombat or in 2020, when it's apparent now that they were trying to push their footprint because they were falling short of their million active user goal. That bewildered me how they did that. It makes sense why they didn't just drop those games on content creators. That makes sense. But the way they went about it, the communication, the people they selected, that just showed that showed a disconnect. So again, me saying they're unorthodox doesn't mean everything is excused and you ain't got to say nothing about it. They actually want your feedback, believe it or not. Because number one, they handle things, they have a culture and they do things in a certain way. But two, this is new territory for everybody. Trying to understand this demographic, where before any of these platforms launched, you were just a data point on a spreadsheet. Now you're an actual active consumer, an active unit. Now and this is your first foray in this. So now you're discovering what this means to you and how you can best use it. Like I said, when I first got into cloud gaming, I only wanted a way to play when I was away from my hardware. That's it. And I was trying to figure out, I was trying to balance what is going to be the best way for me to play when I'm away from my hardware versus who's going to allow me to use the same SKU that I used on my hardware versus when I'm away. And for a while, that's why I get the whole argument of, oh, you got to buy additional things. Yes, you do have to buy an additional game, even if you own it somewhere else. And it's worth it for a lot of us. Because my thing for my personal use with Stadia is the only thing that I wanted Stadia for, because I heard that they were doing 4K 60, is that I wanted it. I said, you know what? I want it for Cyberpunk. I'll just play Cyberpunk via Stadia. And I want it for Division 2. That's all I wanted it for. And then when I actually got it in my hands, I fell in love with it. And the rest is history. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. Even if it's just in your portfolio, or even if you're just watching from the bushes, you don't have to like Stadia right now. You don't have to feel, or you can like it, but you don't have to spend most of your time with it. I would just say be active, be communicative, and just understand the target demo of the platform. If you don't overshoot the moon on it, it not having dying light day and date doesn't bother you, because you understand the realm that they're operating in and why certain things are and certain things aren't at the time. Some things you won't, but for the most part you understand. And that's those of us that didn't panic because it was slower at the beginning of the year. We again just followed the facts. We didn't overshoot the moon on this thing. We realized where we fit in. And this comment from Jack Busey, which is one of the most transparent comments that you're gonna ever get from a gaming exec, ever. And it's not Stadia's problem as far as letting people know what they're gonna do. They've told you over and over again. You've just had a problem realizing where you fit in. When Jack made this comment, you just still can't come to grips that he was talking to you. But I was a premier owner of Stadia. I was there at the beginning. I did videos on Stadia before they even launched. I baked the Stadia cake and I popped out of it. They can't be talking to me. They are. your aspirations and enthusiasm based off of aspirations are not synonymous. Hear me out here. We're preaching today, baby. How long are we going? How long are we going? We now almost 3 hours deep. I gotta end this soon. But we preaching today, baby. Clip this. Somebody clip this. Can I get my deacon voice on or whatever? Hold on. Let me get on. We're preaching today, baby. Your aspirations and the enthusiasm attached to your aspirations are not synonymous with your needs as a gamer. Run it back. Rewind it. Your aspirations and the enthusiasm attached to those aspirations are not synonymous with your needs as a gamer. Now, for those that I gotta break that down for, let me do that. And it's okay if I gotta do it. Just because you saw something and you said, hold on, this thing could possibly be able to do this, that. Ooh, that excites me. The possibility excites me. I'm so excited. Again, I want to burst out of a Stadia cake. I'm going to draw the Stadia symbol on my new Jordans. I'm going to do all that. But you're basing that off of aspirations. That doesn't tell you what the product is going to provide you and how that relates to your needs as a gamer. Which you didn't understand. But guess who understood it? This guy right here. Jack Buser understood it. He told you the same device you are using certainly has better and more rich game experiences. Before it even launched. This was May 2020, or May 2019, I believe. That will take time to play out. Because gamers will have to realize, oh my gosh, Stadia has improved so much from years ago. And the question is, who are the gamers that he's talking to? The gamers who get so excited over possibilities, those aspirations fuel their enthusiasm. It's that childhood nature of ours. But sometimes it acts against our needs logically. And some of you logically, regardless of when and how enthusiastic you were based off those aspirations, it just isn't for you yet. That's it. Even if you didn't see this at launch, you saw it before or you're seeing it now. Sit down, grab some coffee, take some melatonin, bring it down a little bit, and use your mind and think. Despite my aspirations, did my enthusiasm carry me to a place that is not yet built? You'll find your answer. You'll find calm, you'll find peace, and then you'll find a way to do what you really should be doing about gaming. Finding what you like, finding what does make you the happiest possibly, and focus more on the joys opposed to the disappointment. Letting your aspirations carry you to a place that just doesn't exist yet. This is the perfect background music too for all that. Might I just add. So let's get to the comments and then we're going to close out on that note. Nick says, I'm in a group that is checking out Stadia, but needs or better. Okay, yeah, I already put that. He says, I don't need graphics. I need the content. Content, not the tech, is my concern with Stadia. And that's fine. Like when you say content to me, and again, this is just comparison. It's not to diminish your needs. When I look at Stadia, I look at, let's just take the last 18 months alone, because again, I have a crazy backlog of games just on Stadia that I need to play. So we got Hitman, which I've rarely touched. Outriders I haven't even finished yet before I get to World Slayer. Resident Evil 7 and 8 that I've barely touched. And then we got Saints Row coming out. There was this, I got FIFA, I got both of the Maddens. I haven't even touched Madden 22 yet. Now 23 I think is already out. Then we got Resident Evil. I haven't played Rainbow Six Extraction the way that I wanted to, and so many more. I still haven't beat Cyberpunk, but that's well over the 18-month period, I believe. So most of those games that I've named, except for a handful of few, and like I said, we got Saints Row, we got FIFA 23 coming, we got Resident Evil DLC. When I look at the other cloud platforms, I don't see them. And so therefore, if I were to have an Xbox, because I play on the go, like I play here in the office, but then I play in the living room too. When my wife is driving, she does all the driving now, and I want to play Madden, I play on the go. So it's important for me that the games that I play are everywhere that I play them, unless I have no other choice. Like if I have no other choice, then I'll deal with I'll deal with the game being only in a singular place. Like for instance, Deathloop, which is my favorite PlayStation 5 game right now. I'm forced right now, unless I get it on PC, which is it's all the same. I'm forced right now to play Deathloop on PlayStation 5, and that's fine. It's okay. That's one experience. But the majority of the games I play, I want it to be everywhere. I don't want it to be needed to a system. And until Xbox's portability is expanded to all the games that I want to play, it's just not a viable option for me right now. Does it make sense that to make that the same as for you, because you have different needs? And it sounds like, Nick, that you were sensible about all this and said, look, I'm not going to go all in on the Stadia on the thought that it's going to do X, Y, Z. I'm a gamer. Like, let me explain something to you, Nick, on why people like you and I, we get laughed at or we get clowned when people just need to sit back and observe and watch. And I hate to say that with arrogance, but you gotta understand where your flaws are at. You gotta be self-aware. And I used to have those same flaws. That's how I got trapped in the whole Xbox One X situation. I let my aspirations pull me to a situation that I thought was going to exist. Shout out for the super chat. Thank you so much. I let my aspirations pull me to a place that just didn't exist when it came to the Xbox One X. And I had to get a day and date without it being proven. But people like you and I who have gotten to where we're at, because of previous experiences, that's how I got to where I'm at. Or maybe you just always had the fortitude to say, look, I may be enthusiastic, but I'm just watching. I'm cautiously watching. When I bought my PlayStation 5, people told me that I was a fool for buying it. And I looked at them and I said, I'm a gamer. And I know there's experiences that I'm going to want to play there. And I haven't been given the ultimate roadmap, key map for Stadia. I don't know what games are going to be available a year or 2 years from now. And I wasn't given dates. So I am not putting all my eggs in one basket. I love this platform. I enjoy it. But I got to be sensible now because I'm a gamer and I understand that this is growing. And I was laughed at. Why are you getting that? Oh, that's silly. That's stupid. Forbes just said this. I don't care about that. I do it sensibly and logically. We got laughed at, right? For doing that. Now look at us now. While everybody else was scrambling to realize, oh my God, maybe I should have got this. Maybe I should have got that. Look at us now. We're happy. My happiness never skipped a beat. Have there been things and issues that's come up with Stadia or PlayStation or PC that made me feel a certain way? Absolutely. But I didn't skip a beat. I still enjoyed what I played. So, Nick, kudos to you, man. Kudos for you thinking logically, either, albeit whether it was from learning from your mistakes or whatever, and doing what needs to service you as a gamer. Because when you do that, then you don't overshoot the moon and try to light up Stadia for your over-enthusiasm. Just like I can't light up Microsoft for my over-enthusiasm. They got to sell a product. And I bid for it instead of waiting. And what I normally do, my brother always told me, who's always been more technically inclined than me, he said, yo, don't ever buy anything as soon as it launches. He said, always give it 6 months. Always give it 6 months, see where it's at, then get it. Because he said, no, but particularly if it's device centric, like a PlayStation or Xbox, because if there are faults or flaws within 6 months, the next batch, normally that's out by the time you buy it, would have at least improved on those issues. And that's what we did for our 360s. And that's why our 360s, even though they did get the red ring of death, and we were heavy chain smokers in that house and drinkers. We just drinking and chains of there was packs of Marlboros and everything everywhere. Our red rings of death didn't come till years after everybody else's. Because we followed that mantra. We didn't get the stockpile of 360s that Peter Moore knew was faulty but shipped out anyway. We didn't get one of those. So I got Stadia because I was doing testing. That's why I got a day and date. I was doing testing. If it was simply because I wanted to check something out for myself personally, I'm watching for 6 months. Now, granted, I always tell the story that thank goodness I didn't wait for Stadia because the news would have been so bad about it and all this other stuff and it not working or whatever. And maybe in Stadia's case, that was the only exception to the rule because the media is lying so much. Now that I'm more well versed on how the media handles themselves when it comes to the gaming media, it wouldn't be an issue now, but the only exception to the rule would be Stadia. I wish I would have waited on the Xbox One X. I would have rather have put more into my PC at the time and not get the One X, just keep the Xbox One S that I had at the time. But yeah, thinking sensibly, man, as a gamer. And that's something that my brother taught me. He always waits 6 months. He always waits 6 months. There's a reason why he does it. So again, sometimes we as gamers, we let our enthusiasm drive us to a place that doesn't exist. And we just got to be cognizant of that. That's all. Ron said, I'm here for the tacos. He says, it took Xbox approximately 15 years to stick. My question has always been, would Google stick with it past 10 years? Oh, I wouldn't be worried about that, Nick. That might be a little bit of residue from the killed by Google mantra. This is like when you look at Google's track record with paid for services, they stick with the paid for services. This is not Google Glass, and even Google Glass, after they stopped future implementation and support or integration, it's still around, I think, right? I could be wrong. I'm not the biggest Google Glass, but this is what Google does. Google is an innovation company in the purest sense, to where they'll come out with an idea. And they're like, okay, we want to get this idea in the hands of the public to try it out, to see how we can further expand on it. So they'll take an idea, they'll wrap it up in a package so it's now marketable. And you'll get that idea in that original package. You'll play around with it, and then you'll be like, okay, all right, well, this is cool. And then what they'll do is they'll take that feedback, and then they'll look at things and they'll say, you know what? Maybe it's better if we take the strong point of this feature, because everybody seems to be using this, get rid of that, and now we're going to call it Google this. You know what I mean? And or we combine it with this and that. So they're an innovation company in the purest form. But once they make something a paid for service, it's very rare that you see them do that. That's thing number one that you don't get from a lot of these editors and journalists and stuff like that. But point number two is Google has to be here from a market standpoint. Like, they don't have to do what Xbox did or Microsoft did, just break the bank in doing it. Like, again, you got to understand the reason why Microsoft stuck with it as long as it did. And remember, at the beginning of the Xbox One generation, when they got rid of the Steve Ballmer era, they were considering letting it go. They even said it's not an essential part of our business. So don't forget about that. They were going to let it go. And then that changed. Because what had happened? Satya Nadella went to everybody, including Phil Spencer, and said, why should you exist? I want to be in the cloud. Why should you exist? And apparently he must have liked Phil's answer. So what he did is he looked at what was going on with Xbox. He said, okay, they're bleeding too much. Put them under Terry Myerson. Terry Myerson kept their spending well under wraps. They cut a lot of projects, so forth, but kept the spending well under wraps. And then they went on to the new regime building. Satya Nadella said, hey, should we get that Minecraft? You want that Minecraft? Okay, got that. That was they built Havoc, PlayFab. They really start building into Xbox, into making it a money growing entity. And then came Game Pass. All right, now what is the way that we're really going to fuse Xbox into the new Microsoft world, which is subscription services. Game Pass. And they got out of the red with that, and the rest is history. You have Microsoft. You have Amazon. Google's biggest competitors. Really entrenched in the whole gaming thing. And in slight variations of it, but really entrenched in gaming. Google cannot afford to not be in this. That's why you constantly see them say, we're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. Now, can I say that with 1,000% certainty? They might get a new CEO tomorrow and might change their mind. Any of these companies could do that. But to not fall victim to the farce killed by Google mantra that spread through journalism because they don't do their research, you have to understand the market. Google can't afford to be competitive, to not be in this space. Google's stock price is precedented on them being one of the top companies in the world. You don't become a top company in the world unless you have Stadia or something at that tier being built, because gaming is going to be huge for their competitors, and simply put, Amazon won't be able to compete. Google won't be able to compete. So they have to stay in this market. They have to. It's too vital. So yeah, don't fall victim to that killed by Google stuff. They don't, again, the guy one minute he's a ish poster, and next minute he goes on these diatribes about Stadia. I think 2 weekends ago proved how idiotic he actually is. He just has a thesaurus with big words at home. It says that would be crazy if they combine. Stadia improved so much from years ago. Meanwhile, Stadia is only 2 years old. Exactly. Chariot Man Gaming in the house was good, brother. Good to see you as always. It hurts my head, MM2K. It seems obvious, but they don't understand. Yeah, but again, and I hate to say this with arrogance, people are sheep. People want to belong. I'm not, and Nick, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about gamers' perception about cloud gaming. They want to belong. This is what everybody's saying. I'm not going to challenge it, because if I challenge it and actually find something's wrong with what they said and I come out about it, everybody's going to jump on me. So let me just go with the flow. Rudik says, for content creators, day and date are important to be able to capture more audience members. So I get how a lack of big day and dates on Stadia can be bad for content. Yeah, Rudix, I'm glad you brought this up. I'm glad you brought this up. See, my wife keeps circling in and out. Y'all trying to keep me here forever. I got to get out of here. I got to get out of here in the next 10 minutes. Stadia right now, even though it has a lot of tools for content creation, is not the ideal platform for someone that has the mainstream gamers mindset of content creation. What am I talking about? Stadia is continuously growing. We've seen recent statistics that show that Stadia is up there online as far as engagement, subscriptions, things like that, with its peers, all that stuff, right? But it's not flashy. It doesn't have a lot of pop and pizzazz to it, right? And if you're creating content on a mainstream level or with a mainstream mindset of, okay, there goes some new news with some pop and pizzazz, let me jump in on it and let me talk about it and get in while the pop and pizzazz is still hot. So Stadia is not the biggest platform for those that create content based off of pop and pizzazz. Google right now is operating off the mindset as a they call grassroots marketing, where it's quietly growing. Like if I were to tell people, like I remember I had a conversation in 2020 with some fellow content creators. And I remember we were talking after a show and the conversation was completely bleak about Stadia. Yeah, I don't even know if they reached 100,000 people yet. This, that, you know what I'm saying? And I'm just sitting there listening because I knew otherwise. And I had some information that I really didn't want to put out there yet because I didn't want to undercut the information because I was still researching it. I knew that the numbers that I had were at least what they were doing, but I didn't want to undercut it. I didn't want to understate it. So I had a conversation with them and I said, look, did some research. Can't say where these numbers came from, but you do recognize that when Stadia dropped its free tier, that they got a boost of 1,000%. What? Yeah, they're over 100,000. Oh, what? Yeah, they're over 100,000. But it's hard to fathom that when a success is equated to, from the content creator side, to pop and pizzazz. So if you're creating content on Stadia, there are exceptions to the rule, but one of the pillars have to be the community. Because even though there's these cool things that can allow a content creator without the rig or whatever to go and create content, it's not just the tools that you need. It's about the content as well. So if the content that you're going to cover lacks the pop and pizzazz for the mainstream, it doesn't mean that it's not successful. Again, Google has its own unorthodox way of getting to the same street you're getting to. You're just getting to it playing the drums and blowing the trumpets. They're just dipping through the weeds, you know what I'm saying, and going through the forest in order to get to the same place at the moment. If you want to see this pop and pizzazz growth as a content creator, my suggestion is, if you want to do it just based off of talking about content, you're going to have to incorporate other platforms. But there's a way you can do it. You can see a lot of success by covering Stadia, and even Stadia solely. You got to be about that community. You got to be about the community. That doesn't mean what you think doesn't matter. No, absolutely not. But you got to put the community in the forefront. Now, there are some exceptions to that rule, but because this is the way things are being doused out as far as information is news, this is community-based, grassroots marketing type of stuff. It doesn't have the pop and pizzazz that you need in order to just be able to grab something and talk about it. Like when I grab something and talk about it on Stadia, most gamers don't care about it because they're going to look at, well, what it does in comparison to the Xbox, and then they're going to say, But again, to those that are interested in Stadia and they can see how things are gradually growing, that would, generate excitement within the community. So very interesting thing to understand. All right, with that said, absolutely, Nick. And then what you're going to want to do too is, if you can, go to pntsnetwork.com. Here, let's do this real quick. Go to pntsnetwork.com, good brother. Oh, go to community events, go to Old Dirty Blasters Clan, and sign up for our clan if you're not part of one, man. Definitely. But I am MM2K Stadia. Just send me a friend invite, bro. I accept anybody that sends me a friend invite. All right, y'all. Well, we're 3.5 hours almost. We gotta get the hell out of here. I gotta eat dinner. With that said, I appreciate all of y'all. Thank y'all so much. And until next time, have a wonderful, wonderful gaming day. Peace.